Today's date is October the 11th, 2023. My name is Christopher James, and I'm truly honored to bring before everyone here this evening Sean, my dear friend. Should I give your last name? We'll just leave it at Sean.
Casista.
Sean Casista. Sean is the main guy that has been a dear friend for the last several years. He takes care of the website for me and amazing support. He's one to design those T-shirts, which were very much a success. Thank you again, Sean, for everything that you do. I really appreciate it. So right now I'm up at in Sean's area, in the Bancroft area. And I just wanted to bring Sean on here, and briefly he's going to describe to everybody he's going through something within the system himself that he's fighting with. And he's using their own stuff against them. And he's got some very powerful documents that make the case for him. So we just want to be able to show everybody on both sides of the fence that these courts that are supposed to be even acting in the legal realm with some type of honorability to them, they're not acting in that capacity. So, Sean, why don't you give your introduction to everybody? And Sean's got a website. We'll give him the name of everything as well because he's documented everything up there. He's had enough. So he's showing everybody the multiple court case appearances. And we've got with us here, this is the producer of the show, Lexi. Hey, Lexi, she's a little bit jealous right now, but she's a sweetheart.
Attention.
Yeah, she wants a little bit of attention. So she's a sweetie. So anyway, Sean, say hi to everyone and, welcome to the broadcast. Let's give them an update on what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on for one. And it's been a while. I think we should have tried to do this a long time ago, actually. I think when I first set up your website, we were talking about doing the first interview, but back then in the day, I actually did not have the time. Actually, my father had just passed away, and I had just bought a piece of property up here in Bancroft, and I had to, had a lot of things on my plate at the time, so I've been kind of staying under the radar and dealing with all this at the same time. But, I've actually been pretty active in the past with the 9/11 Truth Group that started up here in Toronto and moved on from that, and learning from that and many other things and the people I've met and everything like that, I believe that the number one thing that should be on our plate here, or the one thing to address, is our freedoms. We're losing our liberties. That was the main thing that was on the menu at the top of the list. I mean, if you don't have that, you don't have much at all. And anyways, I moved on from that, and I started doing some research and learned a little bit about the free man on the land thing, and apparently now I've been labeled that just from, kind of diving into it a little bit, but I definitely don't play by the way, they go about things and whatnot. I have my own little, from all the knowledge I researched, I put together my own little kind of path to stand up for my freedoms. And it got down to one of the very basic rights that we have, and that's the right of mobility, to move around from A to B to C and use the roads. Actually, I have the very definition of unalienable rights in one dictionary gives you an example. Actually, for one, I should find out what the definition is a right that cannot be sold or transferred. And actually, in that definition, it gave you the actual an example, and that was the unalienable right to use the public roads. So I actually ventured down that path and started getting highway traffic-related fines and whatnot, and stood up in the courts. Took my stand in the courts and whatnot. And even though I did a really shit job at the beginning, it was all just a learning process. And through 6 trials and about 15 charges, I started, actually near the end, I started winning some. And I realized one of my mistakes was handing over government-issued ID. And it's all corporate ID. And just from doing some research, I realized that, hey, I'm not a corporation. So I started, I actually connected with a lot of people. We actually had a group out in Scarborough there for a while, and I was going out there and meeting a lot of people. And one of them gave me this document. It was a constructive notice. And it was kind of laid out in a way that made a lot of sense to me. And I just started editing it myself. I created my own document out of it. And I actually wound up creating a document that's called a constructive notice and declaration. And actually, I think from my research, constructive notice actually means you're putting on somebody on notice about something that they should already know. And from there, I added the word declaration because I'm in this document. I was declaring things. I'm declaring that, hey, this is who I am, and this is who I'm not. And actually, I have templates on my website, nomoretyranny.net, case 8 and my law course, a very basic law course that I put together just to help explain some things that I'm still learning myself. So, I mean, there's information there for people to learn if they take the time to study it.
So how this all jumped in, I'll jump in here. What happened is that last year you were out fishing, ice fishing, right?
Yeah.
So Sean was ice fishing. All of a sudden, he's not doing any wrong or harm, not trespassing against anyone, administrating his property with right. And along came a couple of people. Was it one or two people from Ministry of Natural Resources?
Yeah, I was out there actually with a friend of mine, Fred, who's out here in the Bancroft area as well. And yeah, we went out, and the first thing we did when we got there is, just let's go out for a snowmobile ride. So we took off for an hour, came back, and then grabbed our gear out of a fishing gear hut and whatnot out of our vehicle, and we went out on this lake. We're not far from the beach or anything. And anyways, we set up the ice hut and put some lines in the water, and it was not soon after that a couple of Ministry of Natural Resources officers show up. Actually, one, and there's actually some other people on the lake, and the other one went to the other location. And yeah, I got into a conflict with an M&R officer demanding licenses and whatnot, and it's like, no, I'm exercising my God-given unalienable rights. I actually recorded the whole conversation. Actually recorded every communication that I had with everybody, and this includes 5 court hearings, and it's on my website. Just some really interesting stuff to learn, and the longest recording was the one with the M&R officer, and it's just like the conversation that you're having. It's like you're talking to a wall. When you're talking about your God-given unalienable rights, you're talking to a wall. These people are programmed. I actually said, and you'll hear in the recording, that I actually called these guys, based, in a respectful manner. I just let them, respectful manner. I let them know that they're nothing more than robots, right? Because they're trained to do something, and you can tell by the way they're reacting to me or talking to me. It's like they're trained to do this. Like, you have your license.
So what were the charges you got? You had how many charges?
Well, the license, the M&R officer charged me with, some fines. I can't remember what they are, like not having a fishing license for one, and a couple of other ones. That was a minor thing. Those were the minor ones, but we had a couple of beers out there, and we were drinking, just having a good time, not causing any problems, having a couple of beers, enjoying your day. And, there's alcohol involved. It's a different story. All right. So they wound up calling the OPP, and we, after they left, we went back to the beach there, and we wound up getting both of us arrested, and we refused to comply to an order or a demand to blow into the breathalyzer or whatnot. And it just got ridiculous. And I said what I had to say, and I actually recorded that conversation as well when I got arrested. And, anyways, lots of interesting things there that have happened, but the key things are the things that have been taking place in court right now.
Right, so you've been to court 5 times, so they charged you with drinking, some ridiculous drinking thing charge or whatever?
No, it was
just refusal to breathe?
Yeah, no, I didn't comply to an order. That's a criminal charge.
Right. And
right? So if you don't follow what we're telling you to do, you're going to jail.
Right.
We're arresting you.
Right.
That's what it gets down to.
So that was one of the charges, and the other ones with the Ministry of Natural Resources. That was in a different court.
Yeah, that's all fines, minor fines. I would have challenged that. It's actually, I did fill out the tickets. I want to sit down with the prosecutor and discuss it. I mailed those back within 2 weeks. Haven't heard back from that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And I actually made a call to the Ministry of Natural Resources. Haven't heard back from them. I want to get my fishing rods back. They confiscated my fishing rods. All right. And that was a dead end. But I'm trying to get the process going in that aspect with the M&R officers, and that's a standstill. And they got my fishing rods, so they seized my property.
Right. So you're dealing with 2 different service corporations here. You're dealing with the Ministry of Natural Resources first, and you're also dealing with the Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP. 2 different service corporations. And both of these agents and officers, people acting in roles for these service corporations, have trespassed against Sean. All right. He has every God-given right to go out and fish, do whatever the hell he wants, but he's not causing any wrong to another man or woman.
And I made it very clear that I'm exercising my God-given unalienable rights, right?
Yeah.
In this conversation with these guys, I mean, you got to listen to it. It's 55 minutes long. It's long, but you know what? Actually listen to everything that transpired. I've had conversations with the police officer or one of the top cops here at the detachment in Bancroft, and that's an interesting conversation. And I'll tell you one thing. Out of everything that has occurred now with the judge, okay, so I'm dealing with 3 individuals, okay, let's say the judge, the prosecutor, and I'm talking to the top cop here in Bancroft. And out of all 3, I like the top cop, right? I think he's a good guy and everything like that. but he's just,
They're ignorant.
indoctrinated.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're ignorant.
you
That's
say
the
that many
biggest enemy
times.
against
Yes,
all
that's
of
right.
us.
Yeah.
We're all
Okay.
ignorant.
But the other two, they're not ignorant of the law. They should know this stuff. And part of the first step of the stage is getting disclosure. R versus Stinchcom is what I use. It's a famous landmark case. Playing by their rules, the court is supposed to, the Crown is, by law, needing to enclose every piece of evidence or anything that they're going to use against us or anything that they have in their possession related to the case, and must be in the disclosure. And I've been through traffic trials before, and I used a similar constructive notice and declaration. I've updated it since. And in the past, they were not putting that document in the disclosure documents, and they were actually dropping all the charges. I mean, one of them was, actually, it was really funny because I went into court one time, and for one of my previous cases, and I stated I wanted to get I filed a motion to get further disclosure and get the Crown to provide the definition of the word person and how it applies to the Act. And I went in there, and it was really interesting because there was no citizens, no people in there, like regular people. It was about about a dozen cops and one lady sitting at the back in a fancy looking dress. And it was just me for 5 minutes trying to get the definition of the way I motioned the court to order the Crown to give me the definition. And, that the whole thing did transpire that way. And they gave me a definition, whatever, they gave me an answer. But later, the next day, they staked it at my place. And the place of the address on my driver's license, or the driver's license that does not belong to me. Let's get that straight. And they showed up, and a ghost car pulled me over as soon as I pulled out of the driveway of the address that was on that driver's license. And I got my vehicle seized, and I bought plates off the internet, and I put them on my vehicle. I put my own made custom sticker, and I put it on that plate. I did not provide a driver's license. I did not provide proof of insurance, and did not provide proof of ownership. I gave them this constructive notice and declaration. And when I went to court for that one, they threw everything at me. Okay, so I'm just saying that this actually worked. So I've been using this technique, and this is what I did with this recent case. Okay, so right now, going into the courtroom and trying to get this, as per R versus Stinchcom, they have to put this document in the disclosure documents. I've been into court 5 times now, and they have not put I got disclosure on the 3rd appearance, and I'm trying to get further disclosure with this document and the body cam footage that the officers have, and plus the police station video footage. And
So if I can
they're not putting this stuff in there.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here. So everyone knows how I speak to on disclosure. Okay, we know that this has nothing to do with this man in this legal realm, but you only accept disclosure providing there's a verified claim or contract in there that you're in breach of. That's it. There has to be a claim you've trespassed against a man or woman, or there's a contract you breached. If that is not a disclosure, you don't care what else it says, okay? That's how simple it is. You've got to stay on point with that with disclosure, because what Sean's doing, that's all people understand. He's playing in their sandbox, and he's exposing to you the shit show that's going on in a grand level. But at the end of the day, I ain't got time for that. So that's what I want people to understand. It's important. You only accept anything from anybody, providing conditionally that there's a verified claim or contract. That doesn't exist in disclosure. As I said to Sean, it doesn't matter if his name's written in all capital letters, upper and lowercase. Who cares? Because then you're asking who's moving this court against me, and that's where you're at right now with everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you're saying. And again, this is the whole reason why I did this. I have had success with it. And I'm playing in their sandbox, yeah, because really at the end of the day, I'm kind of forced there, and I'm learning, but I hear you, and it's time to get to the point where it's okay, enough is enough. Now I got to start, really getting in their face, but I'm showing you the progress on how I got to this point, and it's like, okay, so this is going to be really interesting what happens. And
just so people know, too, I didn't know what Sean was talking about, or Stitch and whatever it is. What's the case?
R versus Stinchcom.
R versus Stinchcom. I had no idea, no clue what it's about. However, when Sean started speaking what stating in there in their legal world. He's just drilling down on a very simple foundational requirement first before you can even, as they're trying to do now, them set a trial date in their world. They haven't even followed the basic rule of this man, person, whatever they want to refer to him as. He hasn't been given full disclosure in their world. And he's showing them, hey, this hasn't got all the full disclosure in here. That's why he's trying to hold their feet to the fire, and they're ignoring him. And now they're just pushing it through the trial. So,
and this is the Supreme Court of Canada, unanimous judges, landmark decision. You can just Wikipedia that or look at
for
it.
the legal world.
Yes, that's right.
Nothing to do with man or woman.
That's right.
Yeah. But that's what they're
Well, it's a de
supposed to
facto
do.
court for one, and it's like, like I'm playing in a, this is like, this is the world we live in. It's just total bullshit. But all I'm doing is I'm playing in their game, playing their game to a certain degree. And I'm, hey, these are your rules. Why aren't you playing by these rules? There's actually a common law maxim that states it's a wretched state of slavery where the law is vague or uncertain. I've got the Supreme Court, or we have the, or whoever has the Supreme Court of Canada stating, unanimous judges, in regards to disclosure, that everything must be on the table in order to get to the truth. It actually says the search for truth is advanced rather than retarded when everything is brought to the table. And they're not bringing everything to the table. They don't even want to have this discussion. In my constructive notice and declaration, I state in there, if there's anything that I state that isn't true, come forward and let's have a conversation and give me a point-for-point rebuttal, and let's have a conversation. Let's get to the facts. What's the law? They won't even address this. This is where we're at. And it's like, okay, so what I'm going to do next. We're not going to talk about what I'm going to do next because we have the element of surprise. All right. So, but this is just an update on what's going on and how crazy it is. And all the recordings are on my websites, nomoretyranny.net. Case 8 is actually on the front page right at the moment. And listen to the stuff that's going on. I had conversations with the top cop here in Bancroft. Like, I thought they were pretty good conversations. He was actually the one that brought up R versus Stinchcom before I did. It's like, I was actually impressed. But interesting conversations.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you so much, brother, for everything you do as always. And
we'll do an update soon.
Yeah, we'll do an update in the next few weeks here once Sean goes back into court. And
actually, no, it'll be in mid-November, probably. So maybe the end of November.
November. Okay, that's great, brother. Thank you so much, Sean. And God bless you. Thank you for everything you do for the website.
Awesome.
Appreciate your support.
Great stuff. Great work yourself.
Okay. God bless, Sean. We'll see you soon.